Hey everyone, on this edition of Getting Into the Biz, we talk about how to get booked and how to behave yourself once you start working shows. Since I began this series, I've been asked by a lot of different people asking me how they get booked onto shows once they're ready to work. Well, the answer is simple. You ask. For the most part, all it takes is contacting the booker or the promoter at your local indie fed, or really any fed of choice, really, and letting them know that you're interested in working for them. You have to just put yourself out there. I liken it to applying for a job in the real world. You have to be respectful, you have to be professional. If you're writing an email or a Facebook message to the guy, you have to write legibly and clearly. If you're in person or you're on the phone with them, you have to talk respectfully and humbly. If you're emailing the booker, you gotta provide the basic information since he can't see you, obviously. You gotta provide your height, your weight, what your character's all about, pictures of you. Actually, what would be better is if you had a highlight reel or video of 1 or 2 matches you've done. Now, if you've never worked a real match before, what I recommend you do is that you work about a 5-minute match, something really quick and simple, with someone that you train with at the school. Get that on tape so you have it on file to send to any prospective bookers and promoters when you're applying for federations to work for. Once you've established contact, the booker will either take you or they won't. And there's a variety of different reasons as to why you might not get booked. They might not have any room in the budget for more wrestlers. They might not have any room on the card or in the stories. They don't really have any room for you. They might just not be interested in you yet. The point here, the key thing you have to do is you can't take rejection personally. You have to be respectful, thank them for their time, and move on. And if things go well, you might be able to follow up with them down the line. One quick note, if you have any friends who are already working shows, it might be helpful if you ask them to put a good word in for you with the bookers so you can possibly get working to shows. It's worked for me in the past. There are times when bookers just don't have anything specific for you at the moment, but they'll advise you to come to the show anyway, just in case something comes up, like a wrestler can't make it or there's a battle royal, so they can get extra guys in on the show. As you get more experience under your belt, I would recommend not doing this whole just show up to the show and see what happens kind of mentality, because it kind of cheapens you in the long run. But I recommend when you're starting out that it's a good way to get people to know you, let bookers know that you're available. It will help you out early on. One important thing when taking a booking, you have every right to ask the booker or the promoter whether or not you're getting paid for the show. Sometimes they'll ask you for your booking fee and you just have to go from there. Maybe some negotiations are involved. Sometimes they'll tell you flat out they can't pay you, and then that's a choice you have to make all by yourself. It's up to you whether or not you want to work for free or not. Now, it's expected when you're working for the first year or so in wrestling that you don't get paid at all, but after a while, once you get some experience and some credentials, you owe it to yourself to get paid what you're worth. Also, if a promotion seeks you out, then you should get paid. That only seems fair, in my opinion. So you've been booked on a show. Let's talk for a minute about locker room etiquette. Behaving well in a locker room really goes a long way in professional wrestling. Unless you're an obscenely talented wrestler, being a cancer in the locker room means you won't last very long in the business. The biggest and most important thing I can tell you is something I've already mentioned in this video: respect. Respect is pro wrestling's biggest currency, certainly because there's not a whole lot of real currency around the business, if you catch my meaning. First off, you should shake the hands of all the wrestlers, the ring crew, the secondary talent, yes, even the wrestlers' wives and girlfriends. Shake hands when you get to the show. Shake hands before and after your match. Shake hands when you leave the place. You'd be surprised just how much handshaking goes on in professional wrestling. One show of respect in wrestling is cleanliness. Take a shower the day of the show, wear deodorant, wear clean gear, trim your nails, brush your teeth just before you go out to the ring for extra bonus points. Nobody wants to wrestle with somebody who smells bad. And speaking of cleanliness, be sure to pick up after yourself in the locker room. This sounds like simple stuff, but well, you'd be surprised. Most importantly, especially if you are a rookie, keep your mouth closed and your eyes and your ears open. Seek out advice. Ask a veteran or two to watch your matches. Be open to criticism and to ideas. Don't get too defensive. You really should be a sponge out there, but there are limits. Not all veterans are going to give good advice. Sad as it is to say, some older wrestlers live to denigrate and tear down younger wrestlers. Just a fact of life in the world of professional wrestling. If somebody tells you, well, this sucks and that sucks, they should be able to justify their opinions and hopefully give you some good advice on how to correct the issue. Every locker room is going to be different, and chances are your experiences when you start out in wrestling might be different from everyone else you work with. But the key is, if you start yourself out as a respectful individual in the locker room and you can back yourself up in the ring, people will keep booking you. I hope this helps you in your quest to become a professional wrestler. If you have any other questions about how to get into the wrestling business, leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them in future installments. Be sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Zane, and I'll see you next time.